for sale. This is Camera Creep, where we take a deep dive. Oh shit, the seatbelt on. It's 3 in the morning. I am driving to Whataburger to go get myself some food, and I'm gonna do the voiceover for Camera Creep episode 1, the myth of the screenless camera. I did not really think this through, but let's fucking go, kid. So, early this year, I got an ad. I was like getting swamped with ads on Instagram for a screenless digital camera. I was getting ones for Memento, Snap Camp, Snap Camp, Snap My Butthole with your camp. All kinds of like screenless digital cameras. Their premise being that you buy these things because when you're using a digital camera or a cell phone, you're so locked into the screen and you're watching everything from behind the screen and you're not engaging in the moment with the event or life thing or whatever you have, whatever it is you're doing. So, after getting inundated with these ads over and over and over again, the more pictures I was posting of camera stuff, I feel like the more ads I was getting, and I was sure that it was because they go after photographers. And one of the ads that really drove me crazy was this person who supposedly does weddings, and they were talking about how they usually shoot on mirrorless cameras, but they decided to use film just for fun, and then they got these because they were more effective than film. But the premise is so fucking retarded because they're not like film, because film is a chemical process which creates a unique image that requires development. Every digital camera ever made is not doing that chemical process. So there is absolutely no reason not to have a fucking screen. The image is captured immediately. There should be an immediate way to review said image. Even these garbage cameras that I bought at Goodwill for less than $20 each have a fucking screen. They have about as horrible of an image quality as this fucking thing. But yet they still maintain the core function of a digital camera, having a fucking screen. So it drives me crazy that this camera is both bad at taking pictures and ineffective at the one thing that makes digital cameras why you would use one in the first place, so you can review your image instantly, so you can know if you've captured the image that you're going for. You know, when I'm using my GR2 or the new Nikon that I'm going to do videos about, the Coolpix 7800, these cameras, they don't have the best screens by any means in the world, but they are an effective tool to make sure I got the shot that I'm looking for. So having a small chintzy piece of shit toy with just an off-center viewfinder doesn't help. Even when using an Instax, something else that doesn't have a fucking screen, it's a chemical process. You get that instant fucking film. So the experience that these cameras are trying to emulate are the worst of both worlds. It is the trashy throwaway nature of cheap toy disposable digital cameras, and also the useless ineffective way that you have to wait to see what you took until you plug it in at home. It's so fucking retarded. The amount of times I had to go plug into my computer to see if I got the picture I was looking for just to find out that the flash blew it out. It's so fucking frustrating. Alright. So that's my anger part. That's the shit that makes me angry. That's the first time doing this, I'm not sure. Well, I repeated myself a lot, but I feel like you guys are getting the point. These cameras don't make sense. They serve no purpose. They're e-waste at best. But why do they succeed? How are these companies still in business? And I think it's because they prey on the fact that people really, really want cool looking, chintzy thing to throw in their bag, something that looks like film, something that looks cool and neat. And that's another part of this that I want to get into right after I order my burger. So if you guys just bear with me for a second, I am going to order my water burger.
Did I get you the Waterburg all-time favorite? How may I help you?
Can I get a patty melt combo with the Diet Coke?
Okay.
Just make it a large and that's it.
Large. You like any ketchup?
Regular, please.
Regular? Okay, it'll be $13.63 at the window. Go ahead and pull up.
Thank you. This is Sports Center.
$13.63.
Thank you. Thank you. Alright. Now I'm just waiting for my food. Anyways, the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I find pointing a camera at my face and talking to be so fucking boring. So, in order to abstract myself from that concept and talk about the things I want to talk about and review stuff and just go over different things, I figured, what if I try and treat it like a phone call I would have in the car or something like that? And I think abstracting the audio voiceover part from, you know, like sitting and pointing a camera or something is just more interesting for me. It's true the algorithm would appreciate if I did something normal and didn't do the crazy nonsense that I like to do, but I think this is a more fun way to do it. So I'm gonna wait till I get my food before I start yelling and screaming or ranting about why this camera sucks. But on that topic, if we can get back to, I think why this camera appeals to anybody in the first place is when you're out in the world, I think we're so detached from having separate devices, and everyone is so used to either seeing a big DSLR with a big fucking telephoto 16 to 75 millimeter lens. It doesn't make sense that telephoto that wouldn't exist. It'd be 75 to 300 telephoto, 16 to 75 kit lens. I'm correcting myself because I know other autistic people will call me an idiot if I don't. So, anyway, the point I'm making is people are used to seeing giant fucking cameras with big lenses, or
You go ahead and pull up for a second window for me?
Okay.
Thank you.
Pulling up to the second window. So, people are used to seeing these big chunky cameras, big lenses, or people using their phones. There's not a lot of in between, and if you're someone like me who likes to use unique, different cameras, whether that be Well, you know what? To be honest, the only camera that catches people's eye is my Olympus, and I think it's because it looks so much like a film camera. And when people think you're shooting on film out in the real world, they're really, really drawn to it. They're really engaged by the idea of you using that. Even a point and shoot, I found when people see that you're using an actual camera from any kind of time in the past, I think people really gravitate towards that. And I think a lot of people nowadays are so abstracted from where you even get a used camera. They're so abstracted from the idea of going on eBay or Etsy or even their local camera store to buy something used, that they think that the way to attain that sort of nostalgic hipster credentials or get those quote-unquote lo-fi grungy vibes is to buy these pieces of trash from China. And I think that Chinese marketing is so fucking brilliant in that they take all the things you think you would want out of a quote-unquote retro camera, and they give you the things that you think you would want in a modern-day version, you know, whether it's using an SD card or being light or having USB-C. But the thing is, it's like not worth it. The image quality is so terrible. Thank you. It's sub-toy. I mean, when you think of the look of a child... I just got my food, by the way, guys. I was in the middle of my thoughts. But it's sub-toy. I mean, when you think of, like, a child's toy camera, the look you get out of that, I think, has a more interesting character to it than the just lifeless iPhone 4 flat still sensor photos you get out of this thing. And we'll get to what I did to mine in a minute that you're going to see in this video to try and break what I think is the drab mundanity. I don't know how to say that word. I know it is a word, but I don't know how to say it. But basically what I'm trying to say is, like, this camera is so generic and mass-produced, and it's so Temu. It's a fucking Wish.com product, and I think Wish.com is emblematic of this whole fucking mindset of creating e-trash to trick consumers in the West who are just so willing to throw away money for the promise of some kind of, you know, experience. I mean, every fucking ad you see for these cameras is people with the fucking TikTok algorithm catching template. I don't know why I was having such a hard time thinking of that word. I just drove by cops, so I think that distracted me. But the template they have for these fucking marketing campaigns is you say POV, you bought that screenless camera from those Instagram, like whatever the POV, you bought that awesome retro inspired digital camera. Like POV, you have, like, throw away that fucking like stop using disposable cameras, as if that's a market. That's not like the market of people that's for are like, and I guess this is the market that Temu attracts the most, but it's like young, new consumers who grew up in a time where the difference between a Temu brandless digital camera and a Nikon is like, well, this one's cheaper, but it to them it looks the same. Like, they don't understand that there's millions of dollars worth of engineering into one, and the other one is a fucking Raspberry Pi with a camera sensor attached to it. If that. A Raspberry Pi with a camera sensor would probably look better and have a more interesting fucking look to it than what this has. So effectively it's e-waste, and it's a lie. And the template that they're using, well, that's what I was getting at. The template is they show you people having fun through the lens of this camera, literally through the lens, where they take the viewfinder, put it up to the camera, and then show you these photos of, and it's such an effective marketing tool for cheap, chintzy cameras. It's an effective marketing tool for any camera. I think you go on TikTok and look at any of the medium format film cameras, people pour ungodly amounts of money to try and get that look that I'm carrying around, a Hasselblad look, and it's like you don't need it. I mean, you're not a good enough photographer to justify having a Hasselblad if you're under 40 years old and you haven't started taking pictures when you're 2. Like, I don't understand who could justify having a Hasselblad other than a German perfectionist who's won fucking Pulitzers for taking pictures of children in Africa or something. Like, I don't understand who could justify having a camera like that. But anyway, neither here nor there. I think that the main selling point of this piece of trash is the marketing. It's a toy for adults, and it's not even a fun toy. All they had to do was add a screen to make it better. I'm going to show an example of that. This is a Walmart special knockoff of a knockoff. This is a camera that's knocking off those Instagram cameras, but yet it's somehow better because these people have a history in camera making. They understand if you're going to sell someone a digital camera, there needs to be a fucking screen so you can see what the fuck you're taking a picture of. But anyway, I wanted to give this camera a little bit. I guess this would be like part 3. I guess I didn't really make parts of this. I'm just rambling. I guess I'll chop it up later. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but the last thing I want to say is, or like the last thing I want to talk about, or like, that's not the last thing, I guess. The next thing I want to say is what I did to this camera, which is something I want to encourage people to do. If you find a used camera or you're stuck with a piece of trash like I have here, I encourage you to break it and push the limits of what kind of image you can get out of the camera, so you can learn for, when you're doing real stuff. For instance, I have this broken lens filter that I did for a little while when I was again trying out things I saw on fucking Instagram or YouTube, where you break a filter to get like a poor man's kaleidoscope effect. So I attached that to this. Of course, it didn't fit, so I had to tape it because there is no fucking thread rings for threading a filter on this, even though that would make this thing immediately more appealing as a fucking product, but neither here nor there. So the next thing I did was put some more duct tape, and it already started to look like a lens hood, so I took a cheap little metal lens hood I had laying around that came with the lens I bought from Amazon. I duct taped that on there, and then my photos started having this really cracked, broken look that I really liked, but the flash was still blowing out every fucking picture I took. And in order to diffuse the flash, I cut out some plastic from some toy I bought at Goodwill, the packaging from some Barbie or something. It was like a pink see-through, almost like that pencil pouch material. And I chopped up a little square of that, duct taped that onto the flash, and now the pictures I get out of it, while still terrible, at least have some kind of recognizable character, to have some inkling of justification to exist. And at the very least, when you take a picture with it, or of it, it has a sort of nerd with the tape around his glasses, DIY, homebrew aesthetic to it, which, a lot of people hate, a lot of people like. At the very least, it's something, because when you get this camera, it feels like something you would be disappointed that you got for Christmas as a child. This other child's camera that I have, don't ask me why, I'm a camera creep, has big chunky grips on it. It can do video. It has a fucking screen. Again, not to keep harping on the same thing, but even this is more useful, and it's older, more outdated, cheaper, and infinitely more usable than this piece of trash. I fucking sneeze. I'll sneeze again. right in the middle of my closing point. I guess that's just what kind of fucking videos these are gonna be. But okay, I can't stop sneezing. Alright, I'm home. I'm gonna go eat my Whataburger. Thanks guys for watching. I don't want to stress this so much. Do not buy a fucking screenless digital camera ever. Don't do it. Keep using disposable. It's film. It's a chemical process. It's infinitely more worth it. Alright. See you in the next one, fuckers.